the implications could hardly be any bigger, really, because we see a continued solidifying of the Eurasian integration, economic, and now as the Russians and the Chinese already announced, the financial integration. The Russians and the Chinese have prepared a new monetary system, which will replace the current reserve currency, the US dollar. The new monetary system will be based on the reserve of a basket of currencies of Russia, China, probably BRICS countries, and other countries that join, but they will have to join with real assets. So this new currency will be commodity-based, meaning that the currency circulation will represent the real wealth, wealth in terms of real assets. And so for countries to participate, they will have to be able to contribute something of real value. So, oil exporting countries will be able to contribute oil, depending on what the country's exports are. So this will be the trading reserve currencies, whereas each country individually will keep their national currencies. So, the ruble, the renminbi, the real, and so forth. And that will essentially be game over for the West, because the Western hegemony has depended on US dollar as the reserve currency of the world, which basically allowed the United States to acquire real wealth from other nations in exchange for pretty paper. And so now this will not be possible anymore. And there's another very interesting development in this, and this is that the nations that want to join the new reserve currency will not be penalized if they default on their US dollar obligations. Okay, so they're getting a strong, this is not discussed in the news, because it's actually kind of a nuclear bomb for the Western financial system. But this is kind of a strong signal to the countries that they can default on their US dollar debt and they will not be penalized in the other bloc. And also, if these countries decide to renationalize their resources, so like their gold mines, copper mines, fertile land, whatever you have, which is maybe currently in the ownership of foreign corporations like Rio Tinto and so forth, Exxon, the Royal Dutch Shell, if the countries nationalize this, they will not be penalized in the Russia-China bloc, which again is a very strong signal, like, go ahead and kick these Western corporations out of your country and we have your back. You can trade with us without fear of penalty or sanctions. So, this is pretty much an all-out financial attack on the Western system. Recall, in May of this year at the Davos meeting, George Soros said that the war we are witnessing today is the clash between two governing systems. And this is really what we have. And I think that the multipolar new order that is emerging has now pretty much opened the final gambit of this battle. And I don't see how the West can reverse this, because remember, to enforce the US dollar as the reserve currency, which in practice means to force or intimidate other nations to sell their exports for US dollars, you had to have military dominance over them. Because if they don't agree to give you their gold and their oil and their copper and so forth for U.S. dollars, then you could clobber them, you can regime change them, you can invade them, whatever. But if you can't do that, if you no longer have that military dominance, then the country is free to choose who they want to trade with, what terms of trade they find acceptable, and if somebody has a better system to offer, which the new, Chinese and Russian system is vastly better, then countries will one after another be reaching escape velocity and tear themselves free from this Western matrix. So there, I think that will be changing everything we knew as normal for the last 300 years. So the new world emerging will be vastly different. And I can tell you two effects of this is that you will see there will possibly be less war in the world, and people in all these countries of the global south will come to know far greater prosperity and higher standards of living.